3, 2, 1. What's up, George? What's going on in the House of Craze tonight?
We are back in the House of Craze tonight, and we have a guest. Mr. Chris Fisk will be with us. He's going to be talking about Infinitale Chronicles, The War of the Trees #2.
Killing the game. He's killing the game.
Yeah, he's killing it. And we're going to be talking about distribution the second half of the show.
What?
So, yes, stay tuned.
Let's get it.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the dream of Medina and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I'm your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Vera. And I am with
George, the Dreamer Medina. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of Catch the Craze. We are live once again. It's Tuesday, June 24th. It's almost over. June's almost over, bro. I'm in the middle of a heat wave out here. What up, Chris? We're in the middle of a heat wave. But if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. Give us a like if you're watching. Comment just like these gentlemen have done. Big shout out to Will, D-Wade, and Chris, who is our guest tonight. So we're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to be talking to Chris about his book. And like I said, we're going to be talking about distribution. But Sam, what you got going on in your end?
Sam's moving again, bro.
Sam's on the move, bro.
Moving again, bro. You can see the boxes in the back. Yes, I'm packing.
Easy.
I'm packing. Stop looking.
Easy, bro. Easy. We just got back.
Eyes up, soldier. And so I'm moving. Getting a one-level house. This house is 2 floors. It's too big. You know, we're downsizing and getting a more functional living space with a bigger yard because I got a lot of dogs. I got 6 dogs. So, so we're moving in a few weeks. So I'm packing up. Plus, I got a Comic-Con coming up. I got RetroCon coming up. Plus, any day now, the Kickstarter rewards should be landing at my doorstep so I can start shipping it out to everybody from book number 7. Yes. Plus, I'll be launching the Christmas special and July 29th. Plus I'm traveling for work a couple of days. So I got a lot going on in a small window to get stuff done, and I got to be packing out soon. That's what's going on, bro. I'm just grinding, working on art and all that stuff. So it's been a minute, and I'm busy, bro.
We're not gonna be live, obviously while you're at work, while you're gone, and during the move and stuff like that. So we'll keep you guys posted as far as like when we'll be live. I believe we're live next week.
We're next week and the week after. Then there's a 2-week break,
and then break.
And then we're back. When we're back, I'll be in my new studio. I'll be in my new home.
And that will be the launch.
That'll be the launch
of the new book from Duty. Tell us a little bit about that book, Sammy. There it is.
There it is, right? It's the launch of Duty in the Santa Conspiracy, bro. First of all, everybody knows I'm a kid at heart. I've always believed in Santa. I still do to today, right? I've always believed in aliens, which is why Duty is my, the extension of me. And so I get to write. I've always wanted to write my own spin on Santa, so I'm using Duty as the main character. And basically, Duty's back on his homeworld, Uranus. He's heard about this Santa Claus. He doesn't believe it's possible to deliver that many gifts in one night, and he wants to debunk it. So his mission is to infiltrate Santa's camp and prove that he's a fraud. And Duty, again, he's in over his head because he doesn't do his homework. So it's going to be fun. There's a lot of new characters. If you go to the Kickstarter page, sign up for the launch. And we'll talk about first day backers. First day backers, physical backers will get the exclusive trading card for free. And if you're a digital first day backer, you're going to get a Duty puzzle, crossword puzzle for free as an incentive to back the campaign on day one. But lots more to come, and I'll talk about it after the guest. But yeah, we have Chris Fisk on, and he has Infinitale Chronicles, and he's killing it on Indiegogo. I'm excited to have him on the show and get this party crack-a-lacking. But before we bring him in, what's going on with you real quick?
Oh, yeah, now real quick. So next month, July 25th, I believe, I'm back at San Diego Comic-Con.
You suck.
I'm very excited about it, dude. I'm going to be sitting in on a panel with Mr. Philip Russert of Filbo Distribution, talking about distribution. We're going to be talking about distribution in a few minutes after the guest, but I'm going to be doing that in July. And then I also have a Kickstarter that's going to be launching, but that's not till October, so I'll be doing that.
Yeah.
And again, we'll talk about all of this stuff after our guest, but we definitely want to give him some shine. So let's bring him in, Sammy.
Let's go. Welcome to the stage.
Hey,
what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
There he is. What's up, Chris?
Man, your skin color. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's the heat wave. I blame that.
That makes so much sense now. What's going on, Chris, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. We're in the kind of the second half of my 60-day campaign period. So
60 days. Wow.
Whew, yeah, it's arts and crafts at the Fisk House right now.
I hear you. So how was it? Obviously you're going through Indiegogo for this book, and you did the 60 days. How does that differ from, say, a Kickstarter? Have you done a Kickstarter? How does it differ from a Kickstarter?
Yeah, so it's weird because like there's all these pros and cons for every one of like the crowdfunding page, like, and maybe I'm just a creature of comfort here. I launched the first book on Indiegogo, and I really like how it's very straightforward. Like when somebody backs, it takes their money. There's no surprises, and it's out. Yeah. Where I've had friends that have had Kickstarter campaigns, and even though Kickstarter is like got the million times the reach of Indiegogo. Basically one of my friends like reached crowdfunding goal, and then half the people didn't respond back after, so he didn't technically reach it and he still had to fulfill it, and it was like, what?
Yeah, because to the public it looks like you fulfilled it. You made $6,000.
Yep.
And you exceeded your goal, but in reality, $4,950 didn't go through, and you're left with like $50. Yeah, no, that's a nightmare, man. That is.
You got to chase down everybody to fill out the surveys and get all their shipping information. Like, I mean, I know it's kind of invasive, like from a privacy perspective. Like, I have all of my backers' addresses and everything, but clearly that's for shipping purposes. But like on Kickstarter, like, they don't get any of that. Like, you have to basically ask.
Yeah. You're right. It is interesting, the two platforms. I mean, like, because when you pledge to Indiegogo, they ask you for all that stuff ahead of time.
Yep.
They ask you for all of your information ahead of time, and and obviously they take the money ahead of time, which is good for you as a creator.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously for obvious reasons. But but it's doing well, man. It's doing really well. It's a 60-day campaign. Why the 60 days? Was it something that you were just like, I'm going to need that time, or?
Yeah. Well, it's weird because like I'm kind of a businessman at heart. I'm looking at like the returns, and like out of the gate, like we did gangbusters. I launched on Michael Bancroft's channel back in May, and we reached funding within an hour, and that was awesome. We unlocked the first stretch goal. We've unlocked 3 of the 5 stretch goals. So like everybody's guaranteed to get some pretty cool stuff for free. But like I started noticing like there's that sophomore slump, like that intermediate period where like, and I'm like, well, I think maybe I'm just not getting out there as much because, dude, it's so hard now. It's so hard with everybody, the pool is shrinking with people who've got platforms. And I mean, I got a face for a radio and a voice for print, so I don't have my own. I don't have my own show. but yeah. So we're just trying to kind of net as many as possible. But there is a lot of positives to this because, you know, I looked at previous returning backers, so people who've backed from the previous campaign, and I've noticed that they've in marketing terms they've done something called up level, where in the first campaign they backed a standard edition or a digital or whatever, and then in the second campaign they backed a higher bundle tier or something bigger. So it's ooh, maybe I'm onto something here.
Yeah, no, good for you, dude. Because we've done Sam and I, we've done crowdfunding campaigns. I've used both platforms, and Kickstarter has always been better for me for whatever reason. Indiegogo's a tough nut to crack, and you've definitely done it. I mean, you're at over 6,600 with with 89 backers, and that's impressive, man. Good for you. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited with this one too because the first book was 54 pages full color, and this one originally set out to be 60 pages. I sent it out to my proofreaders. They destroyed it, tore it apart, went through it. We did all sorts of revisions, all sorts of editorial changes. And now the book is 120 pages.
What?
And on top of that, I sent a survey out after an actual survey, not give me your address survey, but a bunch of questions that I wanted to kind of get some purchasing insights from our backers, what they liked, I want to give you more of, and what you didn't like, I don't want to waste resources on. So I got a bunch of feedback for that, and some of it was on art, some of it was on interior stuff. So what I did was I ended up creating a second, you've heard of variant covers. I have variant books. So there's the standard edition, which is done by the original art team that did the first book. Then the alternate art edition, which is done by a completely different art team. They got the same script. They got, it's 120 pages as well, but it's a completely different artistic vision. And then a third book, because the kids love the manga, I ended up making a manga edition as well. And it's not just a matter of mirroring the pages. I literally went through every page and moved cells, reformatted things. We added pages. So if you get the manga edition, you'll actually see additional content that you didn't see when you purchased the first or back the first book. It's part of an experiment. We're trying to see which of these three gets the most amount of backing to determine the future of Infinitale Chronicles moving forward.
I love that you have that on the campaign itself. So you have how many standard editions have been sold, alternate art editions, and it looks like the standard edition is winning right now. Yeah, that's interesting, man. That you put in the work. You put in the work. And you put people to work because you have two art teams. Oh man, that's amazing. How interesting. Talk to us a little bit about the difference between the two. In other words, you have the same script, but you have two different editions. How different are they?
So the first the standard edition done by the original team is your traditional Western comic book style. So it's got the it's hard to explain. It's what, if you've seen the first book, you'll get more of that in the second book. Whereas the alternate art edition was done by a husband and wife team at Barbusco Studios, Eduardo and Mika, and it has a more painterly storybook, almost like a European bande dessinée. It's not the 8x11 that the standard bande dessinée have, but it's still got that storybook style. And it's weird because I've seen people, because I've been shopping this around now for over a year. This book should have been out years ago, but I shopped it around, had some advanced copies out, and I've had people totally engage in the Coke Pepsi war. They're like, oh, this is total, the standard edition kicks the alternate edition's ass, blah, blah, blah. And then I had people go, what's wrong with you? The alternate edition looks so much better.
Wow. Funny, man.
Yeah, we even offer a bundle, a discounted bundle with a cool slipcase. So if you want to get both of them and kind of have that Coke Pepsi war at home.
That's awesome, dude. That's really, really awesome. I mean, it obviously takes a lot of work to do all this, but you've put in the work, and it looks like it's paying off, man. This looks great, dude.
Thanks.
Thanks. Tell us a little bit about what the story is about. So what's Infinitale, the War Chronicles about?
Sure. It's kind of a weird origin. It started as a tabletop role-playing game that I kind of built from the ground up because I was too poor to to buy all the Dungeons and Dragons books. But I did have access to the Pelham Public Library where I grew up. I got to reference all the different like old school, like old folklore stuff like Finland's Kalevala, the Snorri Sturluson's Volsung Saga, the Book of Invasions, the old Irish tales of like the Tuatha De Danann. So with all that stuff, I started making my story, and the first thing I looked at was, it was really weird because it started from even though this is a game and there's all multiple avenues and the players, like these characters are actually played by real players. The story, like I started looking at stories in like philosophy books. It's really weird. There's something called Plato's Allegory of the Cave, and it's this belief that like mass formation psychosis, where you can convince people what reality is if they've never seen true reality. You can shape their perceptions. And our story starts off on this home world, on this giant continent. The known world is kind of wardened off in these seven sovereignties. And the sovereignties are ruled by queens. And it's this perfect paradise. Nobody ever gets old. Nobody ever gets sick. They're all pretty people with problems, the perpetual adolescence. And they also don't reproduce because they're these eternal beings. So it's, and they're ruled by this custodial like force, like almost like overbearing parents, these gigantic gods that walk among them. And there's this intermediary between the gods and them, these druids. And it's almost like a theocratic society where the druids kind of, tell these people like this is how you should be living your life. You should be doing this. And basically one day our hero here, Aisling, again, living in paradise, perfect utopia. Well, she gets pregnant. And that's not something they're used to. And it kind of disrupts the whole system. And we start seeing cracks in the veneer of this paradise. And she delivers, as she's having this kid, she's going through I don't want to say she goes into a coma, but she goes into these fevered dream states where she starts hallucinating these visions. And there's this blue wisp that tells her that her entire reality is a lie. Everything she's ever been told is a lie. And, she doesn't know if she's just like tripping, from all the, or what, but they end up delivering this newborn son. And part of that theocracy is to bring the child before the gods. And they name this kid, and there's this weird kind of lottery system that's part of their like religious rituals, where they basically have like human sacrifices to these gods, and they have this lottery. And this kid's name, even though the kid was just named, his name was drawn. So a baby is basically being offered up as a sacrifice, and they're like. The mom's like, no way. Like, I just got this kid. Like, he didn't even have a chance to live. Like, this ain't happening. And we start seeing what happens when you defy this dogma that has been unquestioned for so long. And, the husband who's like, oh my God, my wife's like, my queen, my wife is like, she's losing it. I better go and do, what her dreams are saying just to placate her. And when he goes out on her behalf because she's too weak. And he goes out well beyond the realms of like their protected area into the dangerous flora and fauna and the wilderness of their sovereignty. And he starts realizing that maybe she wasn't nuts. Maybe what she saw was true. And that's what leads into our second book, where we start to see that she believes that she sent her husband to his death. So what does she do now with her kid? What desperate acts will she take to save her kid?
Right.
And things go wrong. They go really wrong.
Dude, that is I love it. That's an intricate, deep story, man. How many books are you planning for the Chronicles? Is it more than just the two? Is it how many you have? To produce?
So it's a planned 10-book series.
10. Okay.
And that would be the War of the Trees saga. So it's kind of the origin story of the elves. In the tabletop role-playing game. You play as more than just the elves. Like the elves is just like one major faction. So this is kind of a historical primer for that side of the story. Wow. The opposition is the world of men, the mundane, the non-magical. And we see how these two worlds collide in the game. And this is just kind of your introduction to that. So you have like kind of like a a nice background so that when you come into the game, you can make your own stories based, and understand that the characters and stuff from the comic books or whatever are kind of like, oh, these are things I can use to make my own stories with.
Now, what's the process for you when you're writing this thing, from going from the game to like the scripts? And obviously, I mean, you have two versions of this book now. So you have a 54-page version, and then you have, like, I think it's like, what, one version is 60? Did you say 60?
Yeah. So book 1 was 54. Book 2 is 120, and then the manga edition contains both books 1 and 2, and it's 180 pages. Right.
So when you're writing this script, like, I know you're obviously experimenting, but what's that process like to turn your game into this script?
Oh boy, yeah. So when back in the 90s when this was all written, these were the chronicled game sessions of Infinitale, my role-playing game system. And what we did was, in order to keep money or get money into the library, because we had this horrible recession, the lights couldn't stay on during the weekends, so unless we had like donations. So what I did was, every month I would write up a kind of a recap of the previous adventure, the Chronicles essentially, and then I'd make like a drawing or something based on those events. And I collected those over the years, because I did this for like almost 10 years. So we got all these like chronicled adventures, and I ended up like when I was in the video game industry for about a decade chasing my meal, when I left that, I loved the creative aspects of it, but the volatility of the job is just not something I would suggest people who actually want to stay employed work in. Yeah. But so I ended up switching careers. I'm now in cybersecurity, and I felt creatively constipated. So I wanted to do something that, kept my creativity going. And I was like, you know what? Let's go look back in that travel bin that I've been paying people to move around the world, literally Australia, Japan, California, So I ended up looking through it. And I'm like, wow, there's actually a viable story here. I took the notes from the Chronicles and put it into a screenplay format, because in my delusions, I thought I could do like an animated series or something, Flash. I ended up, so about halfway through, I got Toon Boom, I got Flash, I did all that stuff. About halfway through, I ended up getting this peripheral nerve damage in my hands. So my art days came to an end. So it's no more drawing for Chris. But I could still type. I could still, get the story out. I had the screenplay out there. I, shopped it around, went to all sorts of indie stuff here, like down in Boston, in the area. And basically I was given a lot of feedback, and they're like, dude, no production company would touch this. This thing is too expansive. Your world is huge. Right. This is like Peter Jackson level of budgets, and we can't do that. So I ended up talking to one of my engineering friends who was still in the gaming industry. And he's like, dude, why don't you make like a book or like comics or something? I'm like, I love reading comics, but I don't know the first thing about comics. So I ended up reaching out to this dude in California, Zen, High Concept Media Properties. And he looked at the script and he's like, yeah, this is all screenplay format. No comic artist is ever going to like take this. Like, seriously. Right. So we spent about a year chopping it up and turning it into comic book script format. And we had this gargantuan thing. It was like 10 books worth of stuff. So we did a little choppy and brought down, based on the pacing and where I thought it would be a satisfying conclusion for the first book and all that stuff. Right. We got the first book out there, and then I got it crowdfunded in 2021, and then that's when book 2 came, and like I said, sent it out for advanced copies and proofreaders. We tore it apart. It came back, like a phoenix out of the ashes. And now we've got the 120 page, and we got, basically 3 versions of it,
Right. Jeez, man. Holy cow. Now, where are you with the third book? How far are you in the production of that?
Oh, yeah. So people are going to get, I think backers will be pleasantly happy with this. We reached our second crowdfunding goal, or the stretch goal, which was a free 40-page chapter 1 of book 3 in black and white. So Nerium Nova, who's the artist on it, she cranked it out, man. I think it looks gorgeous. And so we now have, book 1 completed, book 2 crowdfunding, and now book 3 in 40 pages, the first chapter in black and white. And I'm handing her out more of the script, and we're going to get more of that out. And I'm hoping that it will take a lot less time to get book 3 out than it did to get book 2 out.
So chapter 1 of book 3 is 40 pages. So what are you estimating the entire book 3 to be? Like,
there's only like 3 or 4 chapters in each book. So yeah, it's probably going to be about 120 pages as well. It might be a little smaller, a little larger. Like, again, it comes down to, we proofread it, always send it to people that will tear your stuff apart.
Right.
And, because your customers won't tell you that, they'll just not buy your stuff. So I really appreciate my buddy Oscar. He ripped the first one a new one. And I think the book was better for it. So
good for you, man. It's hey, listen, I'm glad that you have, obviously the thick skin to take that, take those hits and say, all right, cool, let me change it. It's not working. And the people to, give you that feedback. So that's awesome, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I think actually when I was developing the tabletop role-playing game, it kind of prepared me to get that separation of yourself from your work. Because there's nothing quite like getting the honest feedback of a 10-year-old that you can't punch.
That's true. That's true. So is the book, what would you say it's rated? Is it rated for all ages? Is it teenagers? Is it, adults? Like, where are you with as far as the rating goes for the game or for the book, I should say? I
would say like it's weird because like I had terrible parents. They never protected me from like I saw Nightmare on Elm Street when I was like 6.
Right.
So it was really hard to like, and again, when we're playing with these kids at the library, like there was no, like, it was from another time, it was like the early 90s. Yeah. So, we didn't have kind of the protections that we have now.
Right.
I would say it's probably young adult. Young adult in the sense that it's not for girls where the main character is a hot chick that has multiple guys fighting over her. That's like the plot of every young adult novel.
No, I hear you. Yeah. But it's definitely YA. It's definitely young adults. It's not necessarily for kids.
Yeah, there's violence. There's violence. And I kind of like, I have strategic non-nudity where like there's naked characters, but there's things, covering up the naughty bits. Gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of like a slightly softer version of like Wendy Peeney's Elf Quest, where she just goes, "Yeah, there you go, woo!"
Gotcha, dude. This looks great, man. This looks great, and you're doing gangbusters on Indiegogo. Are you leaving it there? Because I know Indiegogo has a store that you can leave it open for a while, even after it funds. Are you doing that with this?
So my plans are to, once the 60 days expires, I will leave in demand for a very short duration for any, like, what I'm going to try to do is fulfill the book, have people actually receive the book. And when other people see that the book is actually fulfilled, I'm not one of those people that, gets a $30,000 campaign and then, 2 years later says, sorry guys, and then just takes the money and run. No, I already have these books printed. Like it's in hand. In fact, I got the proofs for the, that bonus book this morning.
Awesome.
But so I'm going to have it for a short time. And then once that in demand, like I'm not going to use that indefinitely. Once that expires, then I'm going to go over to Amazon Direct Publishing or KDP. And I'm going to whichever of those 3 versions won the franchise wars, that'll be the book that gets a retail version on Amazon, just like with the first one. There's actually a retail version of book 1. And then, that's it. So all the cool stuff that's on this campaign, you don't get it. Like that's it. It's on the campaign. After that, it's the no frills, just the book.
Awesome, dude. And I know that you have you're nearing. Well, you're at 6,600. The next stretch goal is at 8,000. You want to talk a little bit about the stretch goal at 8,000 is?
Sure. So the 3 stretch goals we initially started off with was everybody that backed a physical book gets the double-sided bookmark. Then we get that awesome. The second stretch goal is that awesome 40-page black and white preview. Cool. And then the third is a mini art book. It's an ash can with art from, stuff that isn't shown, production art, stuff that was never used, even fan art. All that stuff's included in a mini art book that's about the same size as the manga edition. But the 4th stretch goal, the one we haven't reached yet, is I will enlarge the dimensions of that mini art book and make it the same size as the comic and add a bunch of pages. So you'll get a bigger book with more stuff in it. And then the final stretch goal, this one's the big boy. So what I'm planning on doing is it's going to be an option. It's not going to be a forced upgrade, but the idea is that I'll reach out to all of the backers who backed the 2-book bundle or the ultimate bundle that gets that 2-book thing where we get the standard edition and the alternate edition inside the slipcase. Instead, what I'll do is I'll put both books into a hardcover book and make it so the hardcover book doesn't have a back cover. It's literally 2 front covers that you flip. So you got one standard edition on one side, you flip it over, you got the alternate art edition.
And that's the big boy. That's the big stretch goal. That's the final one, the final boss.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. This sounds great, dude. This sounds great. No, Chris, so you have 28 days left. Do you know exactly when it ends? I know it says 28 days, but like when is the end date for this thing?
I think it's around July 22nd or 23rd.
Okay, so all right, so everybody watching, you have some time to pledge to the book, but do it now if you can. It's Infinitale Chronicles, The War of the Trees, #2. We do have the link in the chat, and it's also going to be in the show notes, I think. Sam, you're going to throw it in there. But Chris, this has been amazing, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can they find you, man? Where can they find you? Anybody who wants to, maybe follow you on some of the social networks or whatever.
Oh, yeah. So I'm on X. You can see my spicy takes at Infinitale Comic on there. Or you can head on over to InfinitaleChronicles.com. And that has all the latest news. It's got some previews of the books. And it even has a link to the latest crowdfunding campaign.
Awesome. Chris, this has been great, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate
thanks for having me, man.
Of course.
Much success, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Peace. All right, man. Take care.
All right. That was Chris
Fisk. Awesome.
I mean, I love, just the production work and the amount of detail and work it took to build the Indiegogo page. I mean, it's impressive. It's
solid, dude. It's solid. For him to do 2 versions or 3 versions of the book, it's amazing. It's amazing, man. Good job. Yo, you have different views now, huh? On the StreamYard, I noticed.
So I kicked myself out.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What is going on? I like this little thing on the side here with
it's a new feature.
That's new. That's what I'm saying. They've changed it.
What's up, Arelis?
They've added Arelis. Get my soul. But yeah, no. So that was Chris Fisk. If you guys check out his website, check out the Indiegogo page. He's got 28 days left. He's nearing that other stretch goal that he was talking about at $8,000. $6,600 on Indiegogo is very impressive, Sam. You know how Indiegogo is, and that's not an easy.
Indiegogo is an indie no for me.
Indie no. Yes, indeed, man.
Yeah, man.
Yes, indeed. But yes. So that was Chris Fisk. Let's talk a little bit about the medicine, man.
Yeah, we gotta get some meds, bro. It's been a while. I'm sick.
Time for your medicine.
Is distribution to comic book stores necessary?
Necessary.
Why that topic, George?
Well, for those who follow me on social media, for those who have been following what's been going on with Diamond and all that other stuff, you guys probably know that there are a few distributors that have come up and are coming up. One of them is Filbo Distribution, which is a distribution company that I've partnered with, and they're going to be distributing my book, The Adventures of Wonder Duck, issue #1. So the topic for today was, there's that debate amongst indie creators and publishers. Do we need distribution? Do we need to go to stores? Stores are closing. Stores are dying. Why do we need to go into these comic book shops? They're not going to buy our stuff anyway. They want Marvel, they want DC, they don't want indie comics. So I figured, why not have a little conversation? Is putting your book in a comic book store necessary? Yes or no? And I don't think the answer is that simple. I don't think it's just a yes or no answer. I think it depends on what you want to do, right? Like what you think is best for your product. And I think that's the beauty of being independent. You have the choice. What do you think, Sam?
I think if you want to expose your product to the many, yes.
Right.
Bottom line. because it doesn't matter if you do 15, 20 conventions a year, you're spending a lot more money, right? Because it's costly, and you're only getting to a fraction of a percent of the population, right? Say you average 75 sales a convention, right? You did 15 conventions in a year, right? That 75 sales, does it recoup the money you invested in that? When you have your book in distribution in the stores, and say there's 3,000 comic shops in the US, I'm just hypothetically spitballing. Say 1,200 order your books, and 1,200 order a minimum of 10, right? And they're ordered and it's in circulation. Now you have 21 cities with an average of 10 new people that are going to see your book, and hopefully the right person picks up your book, and as long as it sells through, they re-up the order, right? But your out-of-pocket expense is less because you can do bulk printing and offset printing, and to minimize your costs. And yeah, you're paying the distributor, right? And you're getting a percentage of that, right? But your risk is limited, and the reward increases significantly. So your percentages of success increases, right? So I think, yes, I think it's necessary. You need an outlet other than your website and crowdfunding and the convention, unless you have the infrastructure and the popularity and the demand to do it directly on your own. But I still think it's necessary.
Yeah, so Chris has a couple of points here. I wish I had enough demand for my books for distribution to be needed. And yeah, conventions are tough to calculate ROI. So much upfront costs that need those books to sell to make any profit.
Yeah.
And I think that's the I guess that's the peril, right? That's the problem that we have as indies, is the demand, right? Is the demand. Are we going to be able to sell these books? Who wants our stuff? So that's where, we got to think outside the box. And I think that's why you have to use everything that's available to you. And like
everything.
I think crowdfunding, crowdfunding is tough. It's not an easy thing to do. It's hard, but if it's out there and you can put your stuff out there, and as long as it's not, it's not crazy, it's not cost you a lot of money, why not? Right?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not do it? Try that.
Yeah.
Conventions. I know people hate going to conventions. They don't like going to conventions. They don't like the one-on-one, the sales, and being a salesman and selling the book behind a table or whatever. But again, it's something that I think you need. If it's there, do it because you want to get your book out there. Same thing with stores. As long as there are stores still open, I think there's about maybe 2,000 now across the US. As long as there are stores, man, like why not? Why not give it a shot? I think that you do have to take into consideration the contract that you're getting into with the distributors. Remember when we were trying to do this way back in the day, Sam, in the early 2000s when Diamond was God and you couldn't do anything on that. Like people would ask you, are you in Diamond? And if you said no, that killed your rep. You know what I mean? Like you had to be in Diamond in order for you to be even looked at as, okay, then your stuff must be good.
Yeah.
And they used to kill you as far as like what they would take from you as far as percentage. And if you wanted to get any kind of notoriety within their previews magazine, they would hit you over the head with a huge amount of money.
It was a mafia.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. So
it's funny because Diamond would refuse you. Like they was like, no, you're not right for our brand. Mm-hmm. But if you said, I'm willing to buy 3 months of ads, they go, okay.
Yeah, you're good. All of a sudden, bring it on.
All of a sudden, you're good. Right? So that's the game. They because they had a monopoly on the business. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like I'll give you an example. Like Kickstarter has been good, but not great, right? So fortunate enough to always make the funding goal on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is that this last Kickstarter that I did, I think it was 58% of the backers were all new. That's never backed the campaign before, right? That they were new to the brand, to duty, whatever, right? So 58% of the population. But it isn't enough to be a wow factor, but it's a great insight, right? But then the concern is, what happened to the others? How come they didn't come back, right? What happened to the other, that 58% that didn't return, right? So that's that ebb and flow, right? It's constant challenge, right? But if I think you need use all your resources. You have to use social media every day, every single day.
Yeah.
I was just telling you a story about somebody who is a publisher, an indie publisher, an indie creator who has published works that found me on social media and is interested in backing the campaign and really loves the work, right? So if you're not relevant, if you're not out there grinding, if you're not out there hustling, and it's tiring, and it takes a lot of time, just spending time on social media takes a lot of time. But that's step one, right? It's and then what you do on the back end to promote your stuff, step two, and then hopefully step three is getting it into the stores.
Yeah. And I think that, okay, so you figure, okay, distribution, like for example, I'm down with a distributor. That means nothing. And the reason why it means nothing is because stores, fine, okay, you got a distributor, but they're looking at the catalog and they're looking for the stuff that they know
that they can sell.
Yeah, Zenoscope.
Yeah.
They're looking for those indies. It's an indie distributor. Cool. Let me see what are the indies that actually sell at my store. They may take a chance on your book, but it's not going to happen just because it's in the book. Yeah. I still have to call stores. And listen, and this isn't just because it's an indie distributor. Because when you're with Diamond, you still have to call that store because your ad or whatever it is, your post in their previews book is maybe this big. At the very end of the book or somewhere in that book, they're letting people know that your book will be out there. And if a store isn't looking for you, it doesn't matter that you're in that book. So we've talked about this before. Even when you have a publisher, the fact that you have a publisher doesn't means it's great. But you still have to do the hard work of letting people know that your book is out there. That doesn't stop. You know what I mean? That doesn't stop. Chris says, brand slavery makes it difficult for new and truly indie creators to overcome that wall of customer apathy. Yes, because they're going to buy what they know, right? They're like, I know that book, so that's what I'm going to go buy.
But not only that, I think Diamond's really tainted the game so much. But not only that, there's always been that I can tell you, you and I both know over the years since we've been in the game, how many people have made their attempt at distribution, right? Just like indie comic creators get a bad rap for inconsistency, not delivering on time, not following up with the sequels, all that stuff, right? Distribution has a bad rap. Especially when you're a smaller distributor because of the same thing, not being able to follow through, not having the budget, inconsistencies, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So no matter what you do, the name indie comes with a cloud.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going to define you is the work that you put out. It's the grind and you being like, for instance, I'm not interested in distribution until my series is done. Right. Once all 10 issues are done, that means I have a year monthly and then 2 graphic novels and then an omnibus.
Yeah.
Boom. Right. So that's when I'll start talking to distributors. So I'll talk to distributors when I have that full package done. And it's like, all right, now I'm ready to now get this get this going, because the bookstores they're guaranteed that they're going to get the follow-up issue each month consistently. So there is security there that if it does take off, that they don't have to worry about because it's already done. They don't have to worry about following up, because Kickstarter is great, but there's only a fraction of a percent of the population knows about your product. There's a whole big world out there of readers, right?
Yeah.
We think that people know who we are. No, there's a whole world out there that doesn't even know you exist, right? So for the comic shops, most of them are getting 99% of them are going to be hearing about you for the first time, right? So here's an opportunity, something fresh, something new, and I have a catalog for an entire year. All right, I'm going to take a risk on this guy, because it's not really a risk, because if it sells, I'm guaranteed the next 10 issues plus 2 graphic novels plus, right? So I think that's where, as an indie creator, what's your strategy? What's your long game? So make sure that you don't just become another one of them that adds to that cycle of inconsistencies that gives us a bad rep.
Yeah, and that was Chris says, yes, those distributors have turned me into that paperboy from the film Better Off Dead. Where's my book? Where's my book?
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation with Philip this morning, and I think that part of the pressure that it's unfortunate, right? Because as a distributor, yes, you're distributing these books, you're getting people, you're giving the people an opportunity to get into stores. But at the end of the day, that independent creator who has that book has to follow through. To your point, that book has to get done. If it's not done and the store wants it, the distributor now is in the position of saying, where's the book? Like Chris is saying, where's the book? Like, I need, the store wanted it. Why isn't it here? Did you print it? Is it done? Like, what happened? You know what I mean? And so there's that part of it. And that's why stores don't want to take a chance on some of these books. We've gone into stores with Philip. I've gone to stores. My book is an 8-issue mini series. All 8 issues are done. So there is no, that comic book shop is going to get their 8 issues. They know it. You know what I mean? It's harder when you have an ongoing series as an independent, because we can't crank them out every month.
No, you can't. It's going to take a couple of months.
We just can't, dude.
Yeah.
We can't. Like, as much as we'd love to, that's why Kickstarter works for that, because you can take your time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could take a year, 8 months, 6 months, whatever, to before the next one comes out. Because on Kickstarter and on crowdfunding or whatever, if you're late, you may lose those people that pledged to your campaign. You know what I mean? It's that's the game, man. That's the game. Whether you're doing distribution, whether you're doing whatever it is, you have to have the consistency. You have to have the finished product.
And it's one of the reasons why, like, I was like, even like with me, like, I'm looking at building my catalog. The reason why I have the Christmas special, because even like when I'm thinking about it as a comic book store. So when I'm ready to go, boom, boom, then I have something that's right for the holidays, a special one shot off. Boom, here's another one that I can add into the pipeline. Right, I have the Duties Monsters. Here's a spin-off of my character. So I'm building that catalog. So when it's time, I don't feel the pressure of having to fulfill my obligation by creating it, because it's already done. By the time it gets that year's end, I already have about 5 other books already done, right? For this, like, so I think that's the mindset you have to have. What's your long game? It's okay. Hit the streets, right? Go to the conventions, do the bookstores, do the libraries, go to the schools, right? The community centers, the outdoor fairs, right? Get your name out there, build that, right? In your local market, right? Because you can build it in your local market. Then when you're ready to start talking to the distributors, you've put in the work, you've built a little reputation for your community, and now you have support. Because if you have the bookstores in your community supporting you, they go to bookstore summits, they go to comic book owner summits, right? Where they talk about the next thing. They talk to distributors and look what's going on in the industry. You want them talking about, I got this kid in my neighborhood, boom, and the book just flies off the shelf. And what is it now? Who's his distributor, right? So this is how you build, and you build that network.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people, like, and this is why, like you said, going to these conventions, going to whatever, talking to the people is important, because you can always tell them, hey, what's your local comic book shop? Ask them to order my book. Ask them to get my book. And that person is going to go into that store and say, hey, have you heard of The Adventures of Wonder Duck? Can you order me a book? Can you order? That store now knows that's a sale. Yep. I'm gonna place that order because this guy came in, and that's going to be a sale. So yeah, sure. And you know what? Let me order 2 in case somebody else comes in and wants one. You know what I mean? But that starts with you as the creator. You have to start that word of mouth. It's not gonna. We're not Spider-Man. We're not Batman. We're not Daredevil. We don't have those characters.
Hey, hold on.
Automatically, people.
I'm not Batman.
You're not Batman, bro. I'm sorry. I know.
What are you talking about?
I know.
What are you talking about?
Listen, I know.
It's crazy.
Wait a minute. I'm not Batman. So Chris says maybe that's what I should do. Wait until all 10 of my books are crowdfunded, if they are crowdfunded, and they will. Chris, don't worry. Before reaching out to a distributor. Yeah, because stores will be, I think stores will be more willing to take something that's finished. Yes. And that they know that, hey, if my customer wants it, I know they're going to get it. Right. Because no store wants to tell their customer, I don't know what happened to that book, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Like, for instance, one of the things I did, right? So Duty was published with a kid in a comic, right? In the comic strip newspaper for a year, right? So I wrote down all the names of the stores that picked up the comic strip, right? And I saved that. Then Herman, the story was published throughout Texas and it was distributed into comic shops throughout Texas. I wrote down all those names.
Right.
So now when I reach out to the people, it's like, hey, I was published with this. You carried it. I was published with this. I want you to check out here. I'll send me your sample. I love you to, and that's how you build, right? So it's like you already have your stuff out there. Now you want to build a relationship with the comic shop owner. Say, hey, next year I'll be coming out with my full product line. I'd love for you to be carried on your shelves. I'd like to come and do a book signing. I'm willing to do a variant cover just for your shop. Right? How do you negotiate with the shop owners to say contact the distributor? Blah blah. I'll do a sketch cover just for you. You can sell it at whatever you want at the store. If you carry my books, blah blah blah. I just don't do consignment. Right? You got to pay up in front. Right? But it's like, what do you do to get creative to build those relationships with? Because you need the bookstores, and they need you to sell so that they can stay afloat. Right? So they need anything they. Remember, it's dollars per square inch, right? So anytime they put something on a bookshelf, they're taking up real estate. It has to pay for itself. So that, what is it, 6.625 length in the shelf, right? And it's like what? It may be like 2 inches deep to carry 10 issues, right? That's got to pay for itself. So how much is that real estate worth? And that's what you got to think about. I got to be able to pay the bills so that they come back from and they order more from me, right? They got to pay the bills so they can take more risks when independence. So they want you to be a success, but they need a guarantee that you're going to be consistent.
It's like anything, man. Remember when you went to that what was it? What was it that you went to last? Was it 2 years? How long ago? 3 years ago when you did the licensing show?
Yeah.
The first thing they asked you was, okay,
how many did you sell?
Yeah, how many did you sell? Like, why should we put money into this? Is it going to make us that money back? And that's what everybody wants to know. Are you going to make me some money? Even when you sign up for conventions, man, that's why you got to promote the crap out of that convention and tag that convention promoter so that they see, yo, this guy is hustling. You know what I mean? Like, so that they know, hey, this is a person that if I book him on my show, he's going to bring people in just off of the hustle. You have to show that hustle. You have to do it. Lupons. I love it. But yeah, no, I mean, is it necessary? Hey, listen, to each his own. I think that it is.
If you want to be a recognizable creator, and if your product is your brand, or if you just want to be a recognized creator, yes. And if you just want to use that as an entry to get noticed by the publishers, yes.
Yes. This dude actually wants me to make money. Yeah, word. The Filbo distribution had a write-up in Bleeding Cool.
I saw that. Yeah.
And in that write-up, it listed all of the publishers and who they're being distributed by. That right there gave notoriety to every single publisher that's going through, whether it's him, Dime, Luna, or whatever. They were all listed. I'm not a big time publisher. I Get Your Meds is just a brand I created for this. But I was listed in there as if I'm this publisher. That automatically, I can go into a store and say, hey, Bleeding Cool did a write-up and I'm in it. Here's my book. Like all those little things help. And I think that, but once it's posted, you got to share it.
Yes.
You got to talk about it. You got to be that media, WHORE. You know what I mean? Like I almost misspelled that. You have to be that.
Okay.
You have to do it. You have to pimp yourself, baby.
Yes.
Because nobody else is going to do it. I know people sometimes when they see you post after post after post. But dude, that's the game we're in. Nobody knows who we are. We have to promote. We have to promote. It has to get done.
Yeah, if you got to be your biggest fan.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be obnoxious. Really, I think if you're going, look, a couple things if you want to be successful in this game, you have to be paranoid and obnoxious, right? Because the paranoia is going to keep you on your gay game, right? You got to be worried about somebody else taking food off your table, somebody else getting a piece of that pie, somebody else going through that door before you, someone else taking your idea. You got to be so paranoid that you got your A game locked in, right? It's these are the things, and then you got to be obnoxious. Yeah, you got to be the loudest person in the room. Right, you got to be your biggest because no one else is going to be cheap. Look, the market is saturated itself as it is. Right, you go to Kickstarter every month is about 150 new indie comics launching on crowdfunding. Right, it's saturated. If you're not making noise and you're not trying to outshine that guy or whatever, they say it's not it is. You're fighting for a piece of the pie. You need to get a piece of that action. It's not going to happen if you're sitting this with your head down at a convention. You don't want to look up. It's not happening if you don't like social media, right?
Yeah.
But then you're frustrated at home because your partner, your spouse is like, "Yo, dude, you're not doing anything. You're just blowing all our money. Get your head up, do something," right? So I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing is, be obnoxious, right? Be paranoid and be relentless. That's the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And don't worry about critics because everybody's a critic. Just go and put in the work, put in the grind, get your hustle on. Eventually it'll pay off, but it's not easy. We chose a medium that's very challenging.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that when you go into a store, right, you can go into a store as like a local artist, and that comic book shop may say, "Yeah, man, I'll throw a couple of your books up on my shelf," and that's cool. That's nice. But some stores don't want to deal with you unless you have a distributor, unless they have a place where they could just order a bunch of books in one shot, and they don't have to wait for you to come in with your book. And the consignment thing. Some stores don't want to do that either. Again, it's costing me, room on the shelf. Yeah, I'll pay you when you sell. But again, it's just using up space. It ends up in the back. Didn't sell. Here's your books back. That's not the way you want to do it either. That's why, to me, it's like once you walk into a store and you do have some kind of representation, in this case, a distributor, they may take you a little more serious. They may say, "All right, I'll check this out." I walk in there. And the reason why I have this book, it's a reader's copy. I walk into a store and say, "Hey, here's the book. This is what I'm publishing. It'll be through there." And now they have something they can look at. "Oh, okay, cool. Here's my card with my website information. The first thing on my website is the distribution channel. They can order the book." So,
and you could also do it. One thing I do out here is I'll say, "Yo, I'd love for you to carry my book, but I want to show you that there's an audience for it. Can I get a table in your store and I promote my book?"
Yeah.
And if you see that everyone's is walking away buying my book, can you carry a copy on your shelves? You could do that, right? So how do you? Because sometimes they want convincing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so look, I love to have a table and do a book signing, blah 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 blah, and then look, yo, dude, I sold 50 copies today, bro. There's a demand for it. I need you to carry my shit, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you?
They see it, right?
Right.
But now they see it. It's in real time.
In real
like,
time,
cow. Yeah,
right? That's why I love
working.
doing books. Okay. That's why you have to build those relationships with your local comic shop owner, right?
Yes.
And it's because it's not costing them anything, but it's also giving an incentive, right? Because they know, look, yo, dude, it's unique, right? I got a podcast. I'm a hustler. I'm all over on social media. I have a really good following. I built a nice little audience in Texas. I'm going to help promote this, but what I want is at the end of the day, I'd love for you to carry my stuff. Boom.
Right.
Sometimes, so it's like, you got to just get creative. Sometimes you got to prove your worth. That's the reality of it.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I've gotten invited to conventions in Texas for free because of my hustle and what I do pre-show, during show, and after the show. Right. And so they know this guy is really passionate about what he does. You know what? I'm going to take a risk. I like the guy. I like what he's doing. Boom.
Yeah.
That's where, and I think that's where, so when you get stuck and you hit a wall, ask yourself, what am I not doing? Not why aren't I getting the attention? What am I not doing? How many I won't do is on your list versus I will do. If you have more I won't do versus I do, then you're wasting your time. It's got to be the pendulum has to be on the opposite side. Although I will do.
Yeah. Chris, I need to hire a booth babe because it's really difficult to be outgoing when that's not in my nature. Booth babes work. Mine is Jonathan Syfax. Big shout out to Jonathan. They don't have to be babes. Sometimes it's just a friend who just has the knack for selling.
Oh yeah, Johnny Syfax is the man.
Jonathan does it, man. He does it.
What's up, Elliot?
Elliot said, late to the stream, but need to see you. But good to see you guys. Always got to put yourself out there for the game, the community, and keep progressing yourself forward. Facts. That is very factual, Elliot.
Yeah, I mean, I took a few months off, right, from conventions. My next one is in a couple of weeks, RetroCon. I'm excited about RetroCon. Yeah. It was actually Arelis who put me on to RetroCon. She goes, you got to go check it out. I'm in it this year. I got a corner booth. I'm excited. I don't know what to expect, right? But I know that they're doing a great job promoting the hell out of this event, and it brings in a nice crowd. So I'm excited. I'm back in the game. I go from that to Bell County to the Texas Latino Comic Con to, I got like 8 conventions coming up back to back. And I'm excited because I'm back in the grind. I took a few months off. I needed to catch up. The convention season kicks off as I'm moving, which is crazy. But my goal is to that networking. I want to build my network. I want to connect with more stores. I want to connect with more publishers. I mean, because of my grind, Kid in the Comic and make better comics, produced my books. So that's what I want to do. I want to just keep grinding and keep building that network.
I'll say this too, though, man. It's grinding and all that stuff is good, but you also have to have but you also have to have good product. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have to put the work into that as well. It's not just, I'm just going to be that salesman that just, can sell, ice to an Eskimo. No, your stuff's got to be good too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Otherwise, people are going to look right through that. And I think that's why you've found some of that success too, is because the story sells itself also. You know what I mean? Sam sells himself, but the story does too. I'm very appreciative of people who have given Wonder Duck a chance, but it says something about the book itself as well. So we have to put our best foot forward as well, especially like you said, in today's indie world, though, you can't just staple your book. You know what I mean? And 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper staple in itself.
These guys are coming to play,
bro. They are
steroids.
It is serious.
When I look at the competition, like, yo, you guys. So it's funny because I forgot them. Someone hit me up like, you did the colors too, because I've been working on my coloring skills. Because Lou Pons, I think her coloring is like on
amazing
level, right?
Lou is on another level.
Right. She's on a whole other level, right? So I've been working on, especially because the Christmas book that I'm working on, there's a lot of ice and snow and all that stuff. So trying to get those gradients and tones right. Yeah. Spending a lot of time with that, right? And I get a lot of compliments, right? And they're like, "Yo, this is sick," right? And it's because I work hard. Right. I'm constantly grinding. Right. And I'm drawing all the time and I'm coloring all the time, trying to get better every time. Each time I'm like, how can I make this? I mean, you saw the pages, you lettered the pages, the water scenes and all that stuff, whatever. Right. It's dope, like, it's crazy. I can't wait till you guys get the book. Right. It's like I put in, you thought when you get book number 7, No Boo for You, which you should be getting in the next couple of weeks. You're going to be like, whoa, this is a far cry from issue number 1, right? When you see what I'm doing with the Christmas
you compare
story,
the water, right?
Yes,
you're right.
When you see what I'm doing with the Christmas story,
but
it's because my mission is to get better with every page I draw. That's basically what it is. So that's what I'm holding myself to a standard, because when I look outside, the work that Chris Fisk is putting out, right? When you look at what people are putting out there, it's like, yo, I gotta get on that court and I gotta hold my own against these guys, right?
It's so good.
That's it. Good. It's like, so make sure that I hold myself accountable to try to make I'm relevant.
Yeah. Okay, so Carrie, big shout out to Carrie, who was on the show a few weeks ago. Current work, rewriting my number 5 issue. Lou, the last piece I did was black and white. Duty and Alf crossover.
Word. Word. You don't get me started, bro.
Oh man, here he goes. Lou, Bigfoot Knows Karate. Facts. That is a beautiful book. Wait, is that what you did in black and white, Lou? The Bigfoot Knows Karate? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, let us know. Here comes
There
Sam.
Here we go. Sam. Duty versus Alf, head to head.
Oh boy.
Hey Willie.
Oh man. Oh, good old Alf.
Just say the word. They're right here. Battle Royal. Let's go.
You should just do it. You should just write it and see what happens.
I love to write an Alf episode.
Yo, Willie.
Here,
and I have to keep my channel running in writing my YouTube monologues. Work is everywhere. Yes, indeed, sir. LOL from Chris. But yes, so is it necessary? I'm going to say yes, to each his own. The other thing I want to say is, if you don't agree or if you don't feel like it's for you, that's cool. But there's no, I feel like people like to put other stuff down. Like, that's not going to work. That's not good. It's like, listen, man, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's the way I look at it.
That's it.
That's the way I look at it. Take the shot.
If
it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Yes. It is what it is.
Like, I want to see Phil Bull successful. right?
Yeah, for sure.
I hope it's successful, right? Because my goal is next year when I have my catalog ready to be like, yo, I'm ready now, right? But
Right.
I wasn't one of them to jump on it because I have a plan. I have a long game and I'm working on that plan. When I'm ready, then I'm going to hit people up and say, look, I'm looking for a distributor. But I love to see it successful, right? Because we need that. We need that representation for the small guy.
We need to succeed, absolutely. Because you know what? Companies like Lunar and companies like all those other, they're not knocking down our door to give us a chance.
Oh.
So why knock something that's giving us a chance to do it? You know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense. So yeah, no, 100%, I agree. And that's the thing. If you have, we all have plans, and we should have goals, right? And we all do it at our own pace. Once you're ready, you'll do it. You know, I was ready now because my book is done, dude. Like 8 issues are done. All I did was, say, hey, artist, big shout out to Joseph Olesko, who's doing the artwork. I said, can you give me a cover? Sure did. The guy's amazing. Big shout out to Joseph, who's also working on the Shameless Plug. Like, yeah, I think that, yeah, we all work our own pace, man. But I think that's part of, like, that's also what's wrong sometimes with the indie scene. Like, we like to knock each other down because we think, well, I gotta get rid of this guy. It's like, oh, whoa, easy, buddy.
Nah.
Like, it's gonna be all right.
Nah, dude, I can tell you right now, even like today, and shout out to Chris Fisk, because I was looking at his Indiegogo page. I was looking at the quality of the way, the presentation. And I was even looking at his website, right? And I was like, damn, I gotta get my stuff tight, man, because that's tight, right? So I'm like, I'm inspired. I ain't like envious. I'm inspired. Right? I'm like, I ain't hating on him. Do your thing, be successful. But I'm like, that stuff is like makes me want to go back and say reevaluate my packaging, right? I'm like, oh wait, hold on.
Yeah, I got to do more of that.
I got to do more of that. Like same thing. Like when I saw Lupin's and the way she colors, I'm like, yo, how do I get to that, right? And that's basically like, what do I need to do back here, on my end, so that way I can stay in the game against all these players out there, right? And it's like, yo, and I think that's the biggest thing. If you love art, you're going to be inspired by everything you see, because creatives, the only way to be inspired is to appreciate other creatives, right? That's and so for me, it's like I never knock another man's hustle. I'm like, yo, how they do that, right? And I got to figure that out.
Yeah, no, 100%, dude. 100%. Yeah, Infinitale, guys, check out the website. The website's off the chain.
The website, yeah, I was like, my website sucks compared to his. I'm like, yo,
the freaking books turn when you're about to click on it.
Like, I'm like, yo, Sam, my stuff is prehistoric, bro. I'm in the Flintstone era.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. Man. It's amazing. It's like good stuff. Yeah,
it's like got so much work to do. Yeah. It's like, yo, you're making me tired, right?
Yeah, no, this is legit, dude. This is legit. It's got the lore, the world, heroes. Like, I mean, and it's clean. It's clean.
It's clean.
It's a clean website. So
yeah, we got a lot of chatter. We got Chris says, "Oh shucks, thanks." Lupin says, "I sent Bigfoot Knows Karate to Dan. He hasn't posted it yet, man. Dan, what are you waiting for?" And Casey says, "And who wants to be anything other than an indie? That word up." Hey, what's up, Daphne in the house? Too many people find it easier to tear others apart, people down, than improve stuff on their end. Yes, exactly. I agree 100%. And that's for me. It's like whenever I look, I'm always looking at other people's stuff. And I'm like, man, and I'm looking at coloring techniques. I'm looking at how they page layouts. And I'm like, I got to make mine as dynamic as that. I got to do, and that's basically how I do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I love it. That's why I collect art of books. Right. And it's because I'm always looking for inspiration.
Student of the game, bro. Student of the game.
That's
you gotta be that. You gotta be that, man. And listen, man. That's why I enjoy, like, even in the chat, right? A lot of the people in the chat. Lou's been a supporter day one. Daphne, we've known Daphne for years. We've known for years. And all they do is promote other people. She's got a channel now. She promotes other people on the channel. Like, that's how it should be. Big shout out to JD Calderon, who has his indie comics explained every Sunday night. He brings on new people. They talk about the indie world, and they promote Kickstarters. He'll pull up your Kickstarter on the screen and say, "Hey,
his podcasts are like a Senate hearing."
Yeah,
5,000 people on it.
Get a couple people lined up. Let's talk about it.
Yes,
but it works, and it's all for the indies, right? Yeah. And I think that's we need that. We need that more so than somebody who just easily says, don't buy from this guy. Don't listen to this guy. This guy's a jerk. It's like, guys, what the hell are we doing?
And that's what I appreciate about what we do, because you never hear that from us.
Nah, bro. We ain't got no time for that.
So you ever hit a point where too much inspiration starts to have the opposite effect? It makes you wonder if you can ever. That happens. That happens on occasion. It does happen on occasion. I'm like,
gotta be careful.
I was
gotta
like,
be careful.
Damn. But then I go back. It's like, wait, it's one of the things. And again, I shared that lesson. It was one of the things where when I got that rejection from Top Cow, when they didn't send me a letter, they just sent me Michael Turner's art, and basically said, if you don't look like this, don't. That's when I realized, Sam, you got to find your own lane and find your own style, right? So yes, I will look at other people. I said, but that's not my style. But I appreciate their style. I appreciate their page layout, their design, and whatever. But how do I make my style, my character, my stories impactful and dynamic and exciting? So yeah, it used to happen to me a lot until I was like, no, bro, you got your own style. You're never gonna look like that. Yeah. But you can create the same effect. And then for me, it's really about how do I make people feel when they look at my pages? Do they smile when they see Duty? Is it funny enough without the words? Is it exciting enough to be like, oh shit, I like this? That makes them stop and just look at the page for a second before they continue to read the next bubble. That's my mindset. It's like, how do I make sure that the art and the writing complement each other? The colors complement the story. Yeah. But it's a constant evolution. It's like you never get it right, and it's never perfect, but it's always on the way.
I think as indies, and I think as creators and as writers, artists, whatever, we also have to get used to celebrating the small wins.
Yes.
Sometimes we're like, yeah, that person likes it, but do they really like it? Like that imposter syndrome is real. But I think that we have to kind of like celebrate our small wins and keep going though. Don't just be happy with that win. Keep going, but take a little time to celebrate it and say, hey, like, for example, that story that you had told about this person who, has won awards, is an artist, but says, hey, Sam, I like what you're doing, man. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
That means something. That's a small little win. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that means you're doing something right. That means you're doing something right. And we got to take time.
And shout out to William Russell. I mean, he does a genre that I don't do, right? He has adult content, Cycle Sal, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, yo, I love your character, Duty. I'd love for you to do a cover for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so for me, he has a whole different audience that's different from mine, right? But I think what happens is we recognize each other's talents and we found a way to merge the two, right? And complement each other. Yeah. That's basically what it's about, right? Yeah. And I don't have to draw like him. He doesn't have to draw like me, but we can appreciate each other for our creative skills, right? Yeah. And I think that's what it is. I think Daphne says, logically, I know that, but I have to be dramatic about it at first. Yeah, I mean, there was a time, I remember when there was a period, I think it was like 7 months, I had artist block, remember?
Yeah.
I couldn't draw for the life of me, bro.
I was like, Sam, am I going to let her that book? You were like, yo, dude, I just
That was the one that I never got to deliver. That was the one time I failed to meet my obligation because I was stuck.
It's real, bro.
I was stuck, and I was like, I went through a moment, and I was like, yo, am I ever going to come out of this? Should I quit the game? I don't understand what happened. I look at a page, and I stare at it. Blank page and I can't move my hand. And I'm like, yo, right? Yeah. So, and I eventually came out of it. Now I'm on a streak and I'm capitalizing on that streak. Yeah. But things like those are the things that you got to find a way to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris says he has a Duty magnet at the top of his collection on my fulfillment shelf.
Awesome.
Nice. Lou, I've been doing intuitive art today. Oh, okay.
Oh, awesome. Intuitive.
Look at you, Lou.
Wow. Damn. Getting all fancy with the words.
Right. I gotta go look that up.
She's like asparagus.
She's like, huh?
That feeling could be burnout.
Be burnout.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's what it was too. But you know what? I'll say this too, man. We all have, a lot of us have full-time jobs as well. And the stress of those jobs, because those are the jobs that pay the bills, seep into our creative flow and kind of like kills that as well. A lot of it, because you're exhausted. At the end of the day, you're exhausted from your full-time job. And then you have to do this, which is supposed to be your escape. But now you're under the gun to get it finished. And now the pressure, it just adds up.
And compound that where, if you're in traffic for over an hour, right, trying to get home, right? And so then by the time you pull into the driveway, you're tired, and then you got to spend time with the spouse and try to have dinner, and then and then muster up the strength to. That's why That's why I'm moving. I got a 1-level house because muster the strength to go upstairs and go to my office and turn on my computers and get everything ready and then start to draw and get in the mindset. It takes a lot of energy. And that's why I try to, on my days off, I'll get up at 5 a.m. I'll come straight up to the studio. I said, while I'm in the game right now, I'm going to draw, and I'll have my pre-workout drink. I'll draw for a couple of hours, then I'll go down to my garage and I'll work out. Then I'll come back up and I'll draw again. Right. And so I try to maximize on the time when I have it to try to get as much done. Yeah. I'm moving again. Getting something smaller. 2 floors is
one more time.
I can't do 2
but in Texas, Daphne, not out of state.
Texas. I'm staying in Texas.
State. Yes. Chris, yes. While printing my my Storefolio perks, the printer broke, and I started making chimpanzee noses.
New office series. Yes.
Stress is a killer. Yes,
there's gonna be a new office vlog behind.
For sure. That's right. You got to go through the paint.
This is gonna be like the 10th office, bro.
What is going on? And everywhere you go, you leave blue. You leave blue walls.
The next one is gonna be a little darker blue. It's gonna be like a bluish gray. I already picked up the palette. I already started designing in PowerPoint with the way the layout of the room's gonna look. I hate it. I got a few weeks to finish packing and be out of here in a few weeks.
Nice, dude. Nice.
And in between the move, I got a convention. So and in between the move, I'm traveling for work.
And the campaign.
And the campaign launches on the 29th.
Good time.
And plus, I think next week I start shipping out all the books. So I should get it this week from Comics Wellspring because I approved the proofs over 10 days ago. So I should be getting it this week. And so as soon as I get it, I'm packing it and I'm shipping them out.
Yeah, man. Before we go, I do want to let everybody know, make sure that you are here next week. We do have a guest next week, right? I think.
Yes, we do.
And then we'll be here for the week after that, but we're going to be off for 2 weeks and then back on the 29th.
Because I'm moving.
Of the book because of the move.
When we launch on the 29th, I'll be in my new studio. I don't know if it's going to be fully ready, but I'll be in my new studio.
Right. There you go. So so make sure you tune in for that. And
next week we got Elliot on the show, Elliot Mondry.
Oh, Elliot.
And Alicia Madden, Calamity Comics.
Awesome. So there you go. So that's who'll be on the show next week. Yeah. And then you have a convention coming up, Sam?
Yes, Retro. Let me get this. Retro. Let me see. Retro Expo. Where is that thing? Here it is. Bound. Retro Expo. I will be there July 12th and 13th. I'm looking forward to it. I got a corner booth. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be my first time there. And shout out to Daphne because she's the one who put me on to that event. And that's in July. Then in August, I'm doing Bell County Comic Con and the Texas Latino Comic Con. I'm a return guest there. So it's my second year there. I love that show. And so I'm looking forward to it. So I launched the Kickstarter on the 29th. On the 12th, I'll be at a Comic Con the week before the Kickstarter. And then the week after the launch, I will be at Bell County.
Awesome, dude. I will be at 2 drug duty as La Boo Boo.
What's La Boo Boo? I gotta look it up.
La Boo Boo. They have these little freaking what are those little keychains? You ever heard of those things that they're going crazy over La Boo Boo. It's insane. So next month I'm actually not booked, but next month I will be at San Diego Comic-Con. I'll be back at San Diego Comic-Con. I don't have a booth, but I am going to be sitting in on the panel with Filbo Distribution, talking about distribution. And so I'm going to be doing that in July. And then the one that I am booked for this year, I haven't booked too many shows this year anyway, but New York Comic Con, I'll be back there in October. So check that out. And I'm going to be going, I'll be at.
Damn, you're going to San Diego and New York.
Going SD.
Ballin'.
DNNY.
What's in those meds, bro?
Nah, don't worry about it.
Ballin'.
Gotta push it. Yo, and don't forget that my new book that comes out in October, I do have it. Check out my website, getyourmeds.com. The shameless plug. It's you can pre-order it or you can wait for the campaign to launch in October. So
Yes.
there you are. There you
Yes.
are. You'll be at San
Elliot's
Diego
gonna be
too.
at San
Oh
Diego.
yeah, we'll definitely link up, Elliot, for sure.
Man, you guys gotta
100%.
go. You guys gotta go to the bar.
TJ's. Psych.
Yeah. But if you don't know, Duty's back. And I thought I'd
Let's
give
go.
a break between the campaigns, between There's Nailing on My Toilet, and Duty's back. And this time he's coming after Santa. So Duty in the Santa conspiracy, Duty's back on Uranus, and he doesn't believe that this Santa is capable of delivering millions of gifts worldwide in one night. So he's flying back to Earth to debunk Santa and uncover and let the world know that he's a fraud. What Duty doesn't know is that Santa got friends. So it's gonna be fun. It's hilarious. It's gonna be a lot of great fun. We launch on Kickstarter on the 29th. If you sign up today and you pledge on the first day, physical backers are gonna get that trading card. That's the front and back of the trading card for free. And if you're a digital backer on the first day, you'll get a Duty crossword puzzle download. So I'm excited about this. It's a fun. I've always wanted to write this Christmas special. It's got a plot twist that you're not going to expect. And I worked on this for quite a minute. A lot of great characters. You got Brock. You have Ivan, who's the head of Santa security. You got Santa's got a special intelligence officer on his team. There's a whole lot of characters in this. And it's going to be dope.
Nice, dude. Yeah. No, it's going to be good, man. We're going to have fun. July 29th. Make sure you come and check out the launch. And then, we'll have some stuff throughout the year, man. It's going to be a crazy, crazy summer.
Yeah.
We're going to have some fun next week. We got a new guest, so make sure you tune in for that. But that's all I got for tonight, Sammy.
Yeah. And finally, the final part. Remember when you were a kid and have you ever wrote a letter to Santa? Your Dear Santa letter. What was it that you wanted? Submit your Dear Santa letter and a winner will get featured in the book. Plus, you'll get a secret Santa gift and your letter read right here live on Catch the Craze podcast. So send in your letters.
Are you gonna dress up like Santa and read it in
I can't tell you. I can't tell you,
right,
bro.
all right.
No.
Sorry, you ruined
you. What it's talking about, right? But send in your best Dear Santa letters for a chance to get featured in the book and bragging rights to all your friends. Plus, get read out loud right here on Catch the Craze. Plus, you get a secret Santa with your rewards in the mail. So I'm excited about this campaign. I had the most fun writing this and putting it together. I'm even having more fun drawing it. I'm actually working on one piece right now. So it's going to be dope. It's going to be dope. With that said, thank you everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you. There's a whole long list of all of you out there. If you haven't checked it out already, go and check Infinitale right now on Indiegogo. It's fire. He's doing his thing. He's killing the game, right? It's like your design aspect is crazy, right? The way your page layouts, all that stuff is fire, right? Go check that out if you hadn't done so already. Subscribe, hit that like button right now. Let a friend know where you found us. We are the longest running independent comic book podcast in the game. We were founded in 2005 when there was no voice for the little guy, and we do it. It's for indies by indies, and we do it because we love the game and we want to make sure we support our brethren out there. So help us grow. We can't do it without you. And if you listen to us on Spotify or any of the streaming platforms, head over to YouTube and subscribe or leave us a comment and let the algorithms work in our favor. With that said, I'm Sam, the crazy man, Vera.
George, the Dreamer Medina.
And we are out. It's just easy. It's
Crazy. Acquiesce.
No, it's talking about my friend Acquiesce. I met him. Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh, Lord.
He described me. He said, I'm the...
What? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. To Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Girl.